Phil,
Kenny?
you remember the old days when you guys would come in, but we just launched something with you, get it going, and then you come in and want to know how it's doing, where it was, and you have all this list of questions, and I give you the look of like, piss off because I don't have time to run around trying to figure all this stuff out. How many stores is it in? Well, it's supposed to be in this many, Phil. Kenny, I can't see it all in these stores. Phil, get your people, go and find out which stores it's in. Remember all those conversations where to get data on something just listed or just running, everything just took forever to get an answer. Everything.
And it was frustrating. All of it was frustrating because I'd be frustrated at you because you couldn't get me the answers I want. You'd be frustrated because you didn't understand why I just didn't throw more resources at this. But either way, neither of us ever got the answers that we ever wanted.
Exactly. Tons of paperwork, took forever. And by the time we got the data, who cared anyway? Well, you know what, Mr. Chang? Those days are over. Field Agent just launched Marketplace. You want to know what it is, Phil? Because I know you're dying to ask. It's a self-serve platform where brands of any size can launch tasks on demand.
Okay. So I can test packaging, pricing. I can check promotions to see if they're set up correctly.
Buddy, all of it. And super quick. You can do it within minutes. And you can target by location, demographics. You can get photos, feedback, and the data is in one easy peasy, easy to read dashboard. Super, super easy. Best part, no minimums, no setup fees. You pay for the data you collect, and that's it.
Perfect for small brands that we talk to all the time, sales team, marketers, anyone who needs quick, real-world insights. I like
True data now. Not in a week, not in a month. If you're so inclined on a Friday afternoon like we are now, and you wanted to probably start it tomorrow or Sunday, guess what? You can do it. None of this 15-year delay, and before you know it, the world's turned over 3 times. Incredible.
If you're interested, check it out at www.fieldagentcanada.com/marketplace.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story. Hello.
Is that any better?
Oh, yeah.
Night and day.
That's like night and day.
Night and day.
Let me put on my headphones just to see.
Sounds good.
Can you guys hear me?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Google thing. You know what is Google and Apple just aren't friends.
They don't like each other.
They don't like each other. And we just got to accept the fact that they're just not happy with each other. And it's just a lifelong thing, and it's okay. It's still good for both of them, and we'll, just give it a shot. Are you recording?
Me?
I am recording. Yes, I am recording.
Okay, I don't see any. That's why I'm asking. I don't see anything.
Every now and then I forget to hit the record button, and then we have to call you back and go.
Oh, geez.
So listen, James.
This has happened before. Yeah.
Not often.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not
my
often.
gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
What a crazy windfall for a business, eh? Zoom. Like they were doing this before COVID, right? It's been for a little bit before COVID, and it's like. Oh my goodness, could you think of a company better positioned to capitalize on something? An event in the world?
It's just pretty crazy. Sitting back thinking, Jesus Christ, how do we grow this business? We really got people to use this more. Like, what do we do? And then you get a pandemic, you're thinking, that's what we needed, because clearly.
But before COVID, like when I was working for the tech startup, we were using share screens and all that, but the technology was really bad. Like if you think it's bad now, it was really bad before, right? To the point where even as startups, we were going, listen, maybe we should just go there, right? Like, or you're in the middle of a demo, and then like it's bad enough that sometimes we're showing off technology, and we were doing a share screen, and then the technology would freeze, and you go. And then I would just keep going, right? So the engineers would panic, and I would go, okay, so, and then you click this next, and then everyone go, and I go, oh, sorry, can you guys not see that? And they're like, no, and I'm like, share screen, just 1 second, right? And you're like, guys, did you get it fixed here? Let's go, like, you know, but you could, come
Yeah.
COVID and like, what choice do you have, right? Like, there's no
Yeah.
choices. So then,
No, absolutely. Yeah, there were
It's
some
um,
businesses that benefited from COVID for sure,
yeah,
and Zoom
there's a
was
lot that
definitely one of
did.
those.
Zoom,
Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot, and there's a lot that still haven't recovered. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like a lot of industries still are feeling the after effects. But to your point, like
There's no question.
it was such a shitty event. Like, I mean, I think it's, I think we're all like, I think we've literally most of us have really put it back in the recesses of our mind. Like we know what
Oh, it's
happened,
wild.
but it just
Yeah.
seems like let's not talk about it. It was a nothing, and it
Yeah.
was not a nothing. But the techno, like now we're all doing this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember
Totally.
not doing this.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's become the new normal for sure. And it's
yeah,
these global events do that. And it's yeah, there's, yeah, the stories of different companies that have been like you think Peloton as well. Like look, you remember when exercise bikes, it was like there was a run on exercise bikes
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because people couldn't go outside and ride their bikes, but
yeah.
it's just
yeah, it was
wild to think.
crazy, man.
I know, I
It was
know.
crazy.
So yeah.
Hopefully that's the last one. That was the first time that we get in our, for our lifetime, and hopefully the last.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fingers crossed. I think it's every 100 years, so fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Well, let's not do that one again.
Yeah, let's not.
One was more than enough.
Yeah, one was good.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we got under
Hey,
our belt. We did it. We
James,
were there. Been
it's
there,
nice
done
to
that.
meet you. I've
Yeah,
I've not met you.
yeah.
I've heard some stuff about you, and I was checking out Glenmore a little bit.
Hmm.
I try not to do too much research because otherwise it breaks the whole
Usually don't do any
unresearched
research.
thing.
He's being very
Yeah,
kind. We don't usually do anything. There's times where I show up and I'm pinging him before we get on. Like, who's on today? Like, who is this person? Like, where do we find him?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually really like that because I asked you beforehand, do you want to give me some questions? You want me to research some
Nope.
stuff or have some
No.
yeah,
responses? And I actually really like that a lot better because for me, it's like, hey, we go where we go, we say what we say, and I think that's the way a podcast should be. Let's it shouldn't be scripted. So
yeah, yeah.
let's
And I'm
yeah.
excited
And
for
I
you to
don't
be
and
on.
I don't know much about you guys. I'm just kidding.
That's perfect. So this is a great
Yeah.
relationship. What
Perfect.
I do like though, I do like the fact because we've been, we do mostly like CPG, Canadian CPG, small
Uh-huh.
to medium sized entrepreneurs, businesses, that kind of world, right? But we do try to bring on service providers, probably every 10th episode or so. So we've like had the accountants on, we've had lawyers on, we've had some packaging on, one person for sure, if I remember. Like we've had food scientists. Well, we had
Cool.
our Australian buddy.
Oh yes,
Can't
yeah.
think of the name.
It's not we
Honestly, I
don't
think that's
care
what
about
happens.
you. We are bad with names, and I'll
We just
remember in a
Google.
second.
But anyway, I was so excited that you guys finally said because I think I've asked two or three times, and I was excited
Mm,
because I thought packaging or the realm of packaging is something that everybody runs to first. And I usually tell them you should probably hit your cogs first because I'm glad you have a pretty package, but if you can't make any money, the only one that's going to make money is the printer, which is fine. I'm happy for James. Woo! But really like everybody to make a little money on the way.
of
Um,
course.
but they get bogged down into sometimes silliness, and it's really nice to have someone on who knows the different types of packaging, what's capable, what you maybe should look at, maybe where the trends are. So
Yeah.
I'm super stoked that you guys finally said yes. And a lot
Well,
of
that's
because you
been
guys actually sponsor us and you do a lot of work with BC Food and Bev, which is really nice too.
Well, yeah, absolutely. BC Food and Bev is a tremendous organization. I was just saying to somebody the other day, what an
Yeah.
amazing, awesome organization that, truly has the backs of its members. And, we've been lucky to be a part of BC Food and Bev for quite a while. And just in the
Mhm.
last couple of years, we've kind of entrenched a little bit deeper. And it's been a decision I've been really happy with. And that's actually where me and Kenny met, where we met. And
Mhm.
it's good. There's a lot of really, really smart people in the local packaging industry, so I'm very honored that you would ask me. And I'll do my best. I may not have all the perfect answers,
We
but
won't know. Don't
yeah,
worry
for
about it. You can
sure.
say
Well,
whatever you want. We'll just lap it up and say, "Oh, wow, that was amazing.
Amazing.
all
That's
right,
so smart. He
cool.
knows everything."
Yeah, exactly.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
All right, cool. Nice. No pressure.
Do you mind maybe just introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about Glenmore.
Give me a little background first on
Yeah,
you.
background
Like,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd like to know where you come from or why you got
yeah.
what the hell did you
Yeah.
end up here? Why did you end up here? Why do you still
Yeah.
stay here? And then
Okay.
we
Well,
can.
it kind of connects, like, why am I in printing and who I am. So
Okay.
I was born into printing. My dad started Glenmore in 1981. So I'm a second generation printer. And that's,
Awesome.
within the industry, you'll find there's a lot of second generation and third generation printers. There's some that have entered in the last decade or 2 decades, but a lot of people have been born into the industry. There's a lot of knowledge that's passed down from generation to generation. It's also like a generational investment to make to get into this industry too. So my dad was a part of the company until about 2014 to 2016, and that's when I purchased the company. Um, and we were a commercial printer. So we started as a commercial printer in 1981. I came along a few years after that. I was basically in a crib in the printing company. So my first memories are in the printing business, actually. Um,
Good.
and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I was running machines like, 11, 12, 13
What are
years
they going to
old,
do
like
now, buddy?
swamping off the end. I probably shouldn't say that, but it was good. It was really good experience. And, right throughout university and everything, it was always something I was around the business. And then for me, I went to university actually for environmental studies, environmental science. And I graduated in August 2008, which is an interesting time to graduate.
Yeah, especially in the printing
Uh,
industry. Boy, oh boy.
yeah, exactly. And then, things got obviously very spicy for our industry through 2008 and 2009.
Mhm.
Um, and in the years leading up to the recession, we had one customer that was about 50% of our business. And that customer didn't last with us longer than 2009. So it was a real hit to us. And we had to take a look around and say, hey, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? And that's in 2008 when we really started to make, and that's when I joined the business. The business was kind of struggling just a little bit, and I came on board and worked my way up through different positions. And that's when I had some big conversations with Glenn, my dad, and we just made a decision that, it was tough because it wasn't what my dad knew, but we made a definitive decision that this is the direction that's going to keep us alive. And it wasn't an easy decision. It required a huge amount of investment, put a lot of strain on our workforce. And by about 2012 to 2014 is when things started to we kind of entrenched a little bit and we had our market. And that's when I purchased the business. And my dad was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to kind of move on to the next chapter of my life. And that's what he did. And yeah, and then from there, I bought my first press in 2014, and yeah, the rest is history. We just kept working hard, working 7 days a week, you know, and kicking ass and taking names as best we could, and trying to survive, just running a business. And now today, we're definitely not the biggest, but if people know who we are, I'm proud of that. And we're one of the players in the Pacific Northwest, and yeah, I'm proud that we've grown to that level on the packaging side. Yeah. So just in terms of services, so people kind of understand our
Right.
services. So
So
we're
do it this way for me though. So
yeah,
when you're you said because I don't know some of the terminology. Commercial printer in my head is obviously someone who prints for a business. But when you
yeah.
say commercial printer, are we talking like letterhead, like newspaper, things like that, and then you pivoted into printing other things? Like what I don't
Correct.
just
Yeah. So if we say commercial print would be like marketing print, it'd be like it could be anything from what we would
flyers.
call junk mail,
Okay.
exactly. A lot of direct mail,
Right.
things like brochure marketing print, a lot of stuff for like real estate, for example,
Okay.
higher end brochures for real estate. It could be presentation folders, corporate print. It used to be how communications happened before digital, right? Print was a huge, huge part of the marketing budget.
Yeah.
And that's completely pivoted like crazy. So we saw that drying up, and that was kind of the reason for the shift.
I
If
would have
that makes
figured in
sense.
2008 when real estate, like we hit a recession, real estate crashes. I'm assuming
Yeah.
that was a large part because from the London drugs days, I remember like printing the flyers. Like print was, to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
point,
no
Phil
print.
came from the
I
industry
mean,
too. Print was
flyers
huge,
was
huge, huge.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it was
flyers
massive.
made
And
every week go, right? Like, yeah.
oh yeah, we used to actually do the coupons for London Drugs when they used
Yeah,
to have coupons, which they don't do. And yeah, like one of our competitors was our customers themselves putting in digital printing equipment, right? And it was some of our larger volume ones putting in their own print shops because the cost of investment to buy digital equipment came down so much. So it became simple for them. So yeah, the market was it was rapidly changing. And on that
totally.
side of it, yeah, like you said, real estate was one part of it. It was actually consumable print, like Best Buy Future Shop was a massive
Okay,
account for us. And
okay.
if you go into Best Buy now, one thing you'll notice, Future Shop, well, they're not around,
You're not around.
but
Future
but Best
who?
Buy, yeah, Future Who, exactly. I tell my
Yeah.
kids that I'm like, we used to do a lot of work with Future Shop, and they're like,
Yeah.
What's a
what?
future
The
shop?
shop of the future?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, it
yeah, so
was.
Best Buy, you go into Best Buy now and you look and you see there's like the tags on the shelves are all digital,
Yeah,
right? We used to print those. So things like that are like little things like that would happen. Well, there's a lot of stores that still do printed tags, and there's printers in town that still do a lot of that business. But when one big account goes away, it affects all of us, right?
right.
And the pool gets a little smaller, and we kind of saw it's like the classic book, Who'd Moved My Cheese, right? And we kind of saw the cheese pile getting smaller
That's
and
right.
smaller, and it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know what I'm talking. You've read that
Yeah.
book
Totally.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's when it was kind of like, well, we had to make a decision there, like,
Okay.
and yeah,
So your pivot was then saying, okay, we can't do this sort of commercial print. Clearly, it's drying up. We can see it. We're not,
yeah,
you get it. And then you decided to just go into packaging.
yeah. It required some tooling up of our equipment.
I bet.
And some brand new equipment over about a 2 to 3 year stretch. We
Yeah,
could use the equipment that we had to kind of hack through it. And at the time, there really wasn't the players in the market focusing there. So we saw a little gap, and we just tucked and rolled basically, and we just went for it. So that's the first packaging. Part of the packaging industry that we went after was folding carton. And we really cut our teeth on that. So we're experts at print. We've been printing since 1981, offset printers, and digital printing since early 2000s.
right.
So we knew how to get ink on a flat sheet. It was just, okay, now we got to convert it. We got to correct our inventory, get the right supplies and all that stuff. And it was a learning process.
I bet.
Yeah, it was wild. And then from there, 2016 is when we made a decision to get into labels. And then a couple years after that, we got into a little bit of flexible packaging. So we don't do stand-up pouches, but we do shrink film.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the stuff behind you is sort of what you do. You'll do all that type of printing for like box printing. If someone's looking for a
Yeah,
tea box, or those are tea tins, or I'm using tea because I have a tea company, so my mind just gravitates. It's that type of work, or just labels to go on bottles or whatever.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. So uh, so folding carton labels that go on bottles, and then shrink sleeves that go over a can. Typically, that's most of our businesses is that, which is shifting quite a bit because there's
I'm saying now, are
direct
we
to
having to
can
pivot
printing.
again?
Yeah, yeah, you know what? But it's that is the world, and I totally support that. It's the world is trying to lower its amount of plastic use, which I support. But in the same sense, there's a need for it. There's a pocket for it from a pricing, a deliverable
For sure.
standpoint,
For sure.
and artwork standpoint. So, and then the other side business and brand that we have is Champion Paper Tube, which is a lot of the nice high-end paper tubes that we have on the shelf
I like
behind. So
that.
we're, one of the only suppliers and providers in North America that is really focusing from tail to tip on high-end, short-run, bespoke tubes. And it's been a really good market for us. It's a little bit tough right now because discretionary spending is a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And people are making cost conscious decisions. But it's been really good. It's something where, if you want to get a paper tube, maybe you're buying from China, or you bring it in from a different part of the world, or maybe you're just not doing it because you didn't know it was an option. So
Yeah.
So it's the next frontier for us was really investing in that. And we got into that at about 2017, 2018. And so we've been at the well for that for a good solid 6 years, kind of learning how to do that and stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm soaking this all in. I typically do a lot of digital marketing stuff, so I'm on the other side of this, but it is something that we've been talking about a lot because, there's so much conversion that happens at shelf in a consumer's hands that, no amount of social media or Google ads or Facebook ads or like everyone's added out, but when you pick up a box, you pick up a box. Like there's an art to it.
It's still tactile to a large
Yeah.
part. Like there's something about an attractive package or
Yeah,
a feel of
absolutely.
a package that I still think resonates.
Yeah.
I even think with younger people, maybe I'm just old, like the old school, but there is something about stuff that, you know what I mean? Like it's still, I think the industry is still that. You can buy a lot of stuff
Yeah.
online, but if you get it home and it doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
and packaging is a large part of the feel, clearly.
Well, if we're talking about marketing print, just to go back to Phil's point, like one of the things about marketing is standing out, right? So it was a really crowded space in 2008 and 2009, and people just started cutting it because it was more like, okay, functional, right? And now the people who are
Right.
printing, they want to, for marketing print, a lot of catalogs are coming back. A lot of magazines are coming back. Believe it or not, it's actually true. And people understand, like, hey, we call it junk mail or flyers, and obviously there's an issue with Canada Post right now. But and some people say, hey, I just hate this stuff and I never want to see it. When you receive a flyer in the mail now, okay, well, maybe you're receiving two. And if you're going through the investment, maybe you just receive one. Sometimes I open up my mailbox and there's just one in there. And it's it's a super effective way at this point to get in front of people. And yeah, it's a higher cost, but in terms of like response rates, it's amazing, right? It's an amazing way to get in front of people. And there are still customers that we have to this day. Like it's a much smaller proportion of what we do now. But we have, some amazing customers that are doing some really pushing the envelope on marketing stuff, and like that's what I don't know if you guys have looked online and seen any of our marketing pieces. Like we like to stand out with our marketing pieces, right? And we're doing a really cool one right now. I'm going to get you guys a couple of them. It's a Halloween box, and you're going to see it on LinkedIn in the next day or two. But we put a lot of effort into it because we want to stand out. We want to look different. We want to be different. And that's what print allows you to do. Versus digital is really hard to do that. Maybe there's like a widget or something cool or a little graphic you can do that kind of stands out a little bit. But chances are people are like, they're inundated with that and they're just tossing it aside, right? 3D will always exist. And the concept of 3D will always exist. We exist in 3-dimensional. So it's like to have something tangible in your hand, it stands out. So and to your point, Kenny, like on the packaging side, it's how can you add something to your package? How can you stand out on the shelf? If you had to kind of draw, if you were drawing a target on the wall and with a bullseye in the center, that's what we do. We're really, really good at embellishments. We're really good at helping our customers stand out, whether it's glosses or specialty coatings. It could be like, we're really, really good at neons. That's actually one of our specialties. And not a lot of people do neons, you know? And the ones who do, it's like, it's like melt your eyeballs colors, right? And there's customers that are willing to spend just a little bit more and they stand out on the shelves. And they look different than the crafts, whatever,
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what's a neons? Like what like just the actual colors?
Just the
Just sort of
colors,
neon type
right?
Like
colors
a
or
Because your
yeah,
colors
like a
are
hot
super
pink. Yeah, like the 800
common.
series,
hot
Pantone 800
pinks? Yeah.
series. Yeah. Yeah, hot pinks, or you got like neon greens, you know, neon yellow kind of looks like process yellow, but there's certain colors that really, really stand out as neons, like a hot red, you know what I mean? We've printed some beautiful
Hot red would be cool. Yeah.
yeah, there and it's and it they have a bit of a life on them, like they do fade over time a little bit. But that's just one of many, many options that, it's really easy. You get a good designer, right? There's really good designers out there. And I know there's a big conversation about AI with, doing design. I'm a huge believer in working with, the local design community and coming up with that like bespoke kind of brand position for you and what are you trying to accomplish and using certain colors that help you stand out on the shelf, or a coating, right, or a particular die cut. We've done some amazing pieces. I'm kind of looking behind me here to see if there's any that are standing out, but we've done some amazing pieces where it's just cut in a certain way to make a shape, or like it almost makes like a creature. The Halloween box that we're doing, for example, it it's a beautiful piece. It comes as a box, and it's got 3 boxes of candies inside. And then what you do is you open it up, and there's a card on top. You scan the QR code. It takes you to the website where it shows you a video of how to put it together, and then it turns into a haunted house. And then we actually hid a little tea light in the bottom, so you can flick the tea light on, and it illuminates. And what comes as just a basic old box has this deep amount of interaction that the customer can just love, right? And yeah, did that cost us more? Hell yeah, it cost us more. But you know, that's the
Experiential,
that's the
though. Yeah,
position. Yeah, that's like with
yeah,
if you
That's
drill
the
down
part
into
though, right?
Glenmore's vision, yeah, if you drill down into our vision and what we do and the market we're trying to sell to, that makes sense for us, right? And if you're just selling commodity grade widgets,
Right.
well, it's like maybe that doesn't make sense. You're going to do as cheap as possible. But if you want to make a little bit more, or you want to be different and stand out, because that's what I'm talking to right now. Is I assume I'm talking to the CPGs, a lot of
yeah,
founders, people who want to grow their businesses,
yeah.
right? So how do you
You're
stand
talking to a
out?
lot of founders and people who are looking to do. Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So that's kind of the
Yeah,
audience that I feel like I'm
Totally.
talking to right now, is that,
yeah,
yeah, like we have some amazing customers that like roll the presses for hours and hours and hours on regular everyday stuff, and we absolutely love those guys, and we keep our
yeah.
lights
They've got a
on.
role. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's and
yeah,
it's and it's two parts of our business, and
yeah,
the higher end side of it. We There's a lot of options out there that I don't think people utilize as much as they should, and it doesn't cost a lot extra. It can just be something unique as a window. It doesn't cost anything to put a window or a shape or
yeah.
some kind of, yeah, if that
I
makes
think,
sense.
You know what it is though, Jamie,
yeah,
is we don't know. Like
but
Mhm.
it,
nobody tells you.
like
You know what I mean? Like a lot of times you go. Sorry, Phil.
I no, no, it's okay. I just think part of that conversation is because we've helped a lot of brands kind of stand up and grow, and then we do get conversations like one of the conversations, as consumers get more and more discretionary with their spend, right, is we are getting questions about, listen, like I got it. I thought the hardest part was getting it on shelf. And you're going, no, not really, actually. First, you got it onto the shelf, but now it doesn't stand
Off
out,
the
nobody
shelf.
can see it, right? Is one of
Yeah.
them. And then the two is like, how do I get it off the shelf, right? Like I need to sell the product. Packaging is one of those things where you can have ordinary run-of-the-mill packaging that works just fine. But then I think where what you've just talked about is, look, like you can have ordinary run-of-the-mill stuff. And if your stuff tastes amazing and if you do enough demos, you get enough product, it'll probably sell. But if you spend a little bit more and you worked with a designer and then you work with a partner like you guys to be a little bit creative with what you have, all of a sudden your advantage on shelf becomes
Yeah.
something big. Like, and it is part of your marketing, it's part of the whole marketing thing. Like you can throw it on sale, or you could spend just a little bit more and get like great packet. Like I'm looking at your Ravens vodka label that's
Yep.
on your site, and it's pretty
Thank you.
amazing. Like, if you
Yeah.
guys, if you're listening to this, and you can get to a browser, like go and just check out, like go to Glenmore's site,
And I can't do that because I
glenmorecustomprinting.com,
can't do two
and
things at
then go
once.
look at services and labels. And he's got this really nice, like Ravens vodka label on there that's just like it's the colors, it's gold, it's black, it's got a million lines in it, and then it's a custom shape, right? Like I think it's wicked,
Yeah.
it just
And it
makes it all
and
stand out, right?
to die cut a shape, especially if we're talking about a label, like the die cut a shape for a label is like there's no real cost difference to that, right? It's just, we're buying a die for, a square, we're buying a die for a slightly rounded shape or a unique
Yeah.
shape that follows the contour of like a wing or something like that. There's some people that put a little bit more time and effort into into their packaging design, and hey, if you want to, a lot of it comes down to what's the position you want to be on the shelf. Do you want to stand out? Is your product premium? um and that's where I always kind of like, I love working with, that's actually, what, sorry to jump around. I
Oh,
love
that's great.
working with founders. I
Oh,
love working with entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
these are the conversations that I have so often is like, you know, I always ask them like, what's your vision? Like, what is it? And the vast majority of businesses like that I've talked to, they're like, okay, some do have a vision and some are like, yeah, you know, basically
I want to sell more
survival.
stuff.
Yeah, I want to sell more stuff. But like, what's okay? So, I've received
Yeah.
some really good
that's
advice
not
in
a
my
vision.
life
That's
of
sort of
like,
an output we're all
Yeah,
changing.
that's just a
yeah,
Yeah.
requirement. Yeah.
I've received a lot of really good advice in my life of like, okay, if you're buying businesses or if you're growing business or what type of accounts you're going after or whatever. And it's like, well, it all comes down to like, what's your vision? What are you trying to accomplish? Yeah, we have goals. Yeah, we have growth goals. We're ambitious, but like, you just want to be conscious that you have that anchor and that tether because, just adding growth for the sake of growth, can be really tough. Kenny talked about in our chat at the BC Food and Bev,
Mhm.
we talked about Costco. Getting Costco as a customer can like be amazing for your business. But
Lovely. But
I've also seen it drive people out of business,
Out
right?
of business.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, for the analogy, like the sailors, hearing the woman on the rocks calling you towards the rocks, right? So it is something where I just think it's really, really important. It all kind of goes back to vision. Like what are you really trying to accomplish, right? And that's where your packaging design and who you're partnering with. Like, are you using somebody that's maybe offshore to do your design, or are you partnering with a branding agency that's going to do a lot more of a robust research and looking into what your position is, and making those suggestions for how you can stand out on the shelf. And what is your product, right? Like maybe you're the only person in your space and you don't have to go all out on the packaging side, if you're totally unique, and
I think it's just
tofu
good to
is,
have somebody you can talk to.
yeah, exactly.
You need
I
somebody
was
to
going to
talk
say,
to. I think, James, what the problem is,
yeah,
people just don't get it.
yeah.
They run to things. Everybody's rushing to get the shelf. And you're thinking, that's great, but if you take 2 weeks extra, isn't going to shut the world down.
Yeah, yeah, and and I'll
Actually,
tell you, like
it's
when I
possible.
when I've written my visions, I had my original vision, then I've updated my vision. Like it's like I just take a moment and I go somewhere quiet, and I just know, like in my heart, I just feel like the direction of what my company is going in, and the culture of the business, or like there's something that doesn't feel right. It's
Right.
usually like it's an alignment issue, and I go back to that, and I just go somewhere quiet for an hour or two and I contemplate it, and then I sleep on it for a night or two. And then usually, and that's the beauty of if you're an operator of a business that only has like 5 employees or 6 employees, like you have the beauty of being able to change quickly, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be a big process. Just it's just about being intentional, I think, is kind of the biggest kind of takeaway from that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. I
That
think
makes
it's
total
I
sense. And I
think
think
it's
it's good. I think
but
it's,
I think though
yeah.
it's good to, because they hear that from us, but I think from someone like you who's kind of like literally putting design to paper, right? Like it's a big deal, right? Because I think
No.
they get there and they think, I'm working with James. I've got to figure out like how to give him instructions, right? But the partnership is, listen, don't tell me how to print. I know how to print, right? So, and I can print almost anything you can dream of. What I need to figure out is what's in your dreams, right? Like it is actually the problem. Not that, there are lots of things that AI can't do, but
Yeah.
some of the problems with AI isn't AI, it's us too, right? Because what you see in your brain isn't what comes out of your mouth and isn't what you type, right? And you have the same
Yeah.
problem AI does is they go, I have this vision. You're like, cool. Tell me what it is. They're like, I want this big grandiose thing. You're like, not cool. Like none of those words are things I can work with.
It's not a
Yeah.
vision. You're just, it's
Like,
just words.
give me
Exactly.
something definitive I can work with, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted because I'm looking at your designs for Rebel Rebel, and you've got
Oh
this
yeah, the
great, the
sanitizer.
gift box is distracting. Like it is,
Yeah.
took me a minute to figure out who it was, but
I
once I
hopped
did,
on Instagram as well, Mr. Chang.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
because
Yeah,
the box
There's
is,
this
that
one.
actually a really good example because they have a totally premium product. Like you're talking about hand
yeah,
sanitizer, right? Like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
talk about a space that's crowded in commodity.
yeah,
And they make something that's totally unique, right? And different versions of it. And they make it in a box that's attractive to people. Like certain people aren't using it like all the moments of every day,
yeah,
but they want to
yeah,
have something that they might give to
yeah,
somebody else, or they can kind of have either as a gift, or it stands out. They want something that's attractive that's going into their purse. They don't want to just have some commodity grade Johnson and Johnson, right? And they want to support a local company. It's like, so that box has a magnetic closure on it as well. That we hand assembled ourselves, so we actually delivered it to the customer as a square, and
Wow.
or I should say a cube. And yeah, it photographs really well.
Guys, we'll
Well, your
leave a
Instagram
link
page
to
like it, right?
this, to this particular
Yeah.
box, but you should go check it out. It's actually stunning. Like
Yeah,
the
thank you.
inside, the inners are stunning. The outside is stunning. The clasp, like all of it is. I can see this sticking around for a long, long time, right? Like this is the sort of thing
Yeah,
that even when you're done with it, you're putting something else in it or just leaving it out because it's actually quite cool to look at.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah,
um, that's very
You
cool.
say that, Phil, and because now I'm snooping too, because it's just some of the stuff looks like stuff you could just, it's almost decorum, right? You
Yeah,
could
yeah,
actually
it
put this
is.
shit back
Yeah,
on the shelf or something. It's actually really nice. But again, I think
yeah,
that's the beauty of working with two sides. Like I do think AI is going to cause a lot of issues for a lot of people. We know that, and
yeah,
many positive, many not so positive.
yeah,
I still
yeah,
think it's really nice to work with a human being as a designer. I think that human being working with another human being in printing is not the worst thing on the planet. I mean, I
yeah,
think there
wait.
are
So
things that a
so
computer's just not going to be able to do. The emotion can't be there, right? And I think
I
it's still
think
an emotional part of the
definitively.
business.
I would double down on what you said. Like I think that if you're using AI to do packaging, it's a mistake. Like I think
I think
you
it's a
you
miss.
cannot you cannot get, like, because just think about that for 1 second, right? Is AI is a retread of everything else in the world. That's how it learns, right? It there isn't new
That's what
stuff
it is.
coming
Yes.
from. So what you're asking AI to, what you could do is if you wanted to leverage your time right, what you could do is throw some stuff in AI, and learn a chunk of things about packaging, right? Because you don't want a guy like James teaching you, here are the fundamentals of what a label
No.
should look like. That is not something that, he can do it, I think. I'm sorry, I'm speaking on, and then you can tell me to stick it somewhere if you totally don't believe me, but, or you disagree. But I think that what you do is you learn some of that shiz ahead of time, right? Here's what
Yeah.
makes a good label. Here's the things I must have on a package. I can boil it down. Then you can show up and go, James, I have an idea. Here's what I have. Here's the basics, right? And
There's
then,
concept.
and then here's some ideas or colors that I like. And then, like if you could see what was like on the shelf behind James, we'll put up a shot somewhere so you can see. But and then if you look at his Instagram, you look at their Instagram, you look at the web page, and all of a sudden now, between those things, James's experience plus what you've distilled down turns into a great partnership, right? Because I think, and
Yeah.
I think that's something that AI cannot do for you.
Yeah,
Sorry, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
does AI create authenticity as well? Because authenticity is such a vitally important part of a brand, especially for a small CPG.
yeah,
And creating content
Yeah.
and stuff. I think what exactly like you said, it augments some of the work that it allows you to do more in a day. I don't think that it's going to replace people. It might on certain things.
hmm,
A design and marketing agency might have a few less people in the organization because they'll
Yeah.
probably use some tools, and it's still kind of unclear how companies are going to adapt to it. I'm sure Adobe is going to have a whole whackload of AI specific stuff that's coming out over the next year to 2 years. Like every organization like that is going to start
yeah,
doing more AI stuff.
yeah,
Um, so it's definitely going to be a factor. And like you said, if you have ideas, like now maybe we sketch it on a napkin or whatever, and
mm,
if we can tell AI and you can get like 50 different
yep,
images, and then you can pick one and you can say, okay, all
Right.
these 49 are like absolute crap. But this one is kind of
this one,
okay.
yeah,
It can dial you in, and
yep,
at that point, then you might say, "Hey, I got a little bit of design experience myself. Maybe you finish the job, or you work with a design agency and they knock it out of the park." We've got a designer that we work with
Yeah.
that does a phenomenal job for us, and they hand draw a lot of the graphics that we do, and everything we do is like so highly customized and methodical and well thought through. You know, and that's Best Studio. So they'll be really appreciative that I give them a plug there. And I've referred them
Cool.
into a couple of accounts, yeah, and they do a really good job. And now hopefully they're not so much extra busy that they won't service me as well, or maybe they'll give me extra attention for the plug.
You have to keep
But
plugging to make sure they don't drop
you know,
you.
but a lot of it is I know what I want. And I go to them and I
Right.
tell them, and they fill in the final 5 to 10%. I give them the concept and I say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And then they take it and they run with it and they create something that's really special. And they take it really seriously. And that's where you got to find a good designer. And there's more that, if anybody's really interested in having introductions to designers, like I've got a few other that I think are really great as well. I can always make those intros because we're pretty plugged into the design community as
mhm,
well.
mhm,
So yeah, but yeah, the whole world of AI and especially in manufacturing, it's something really, interesting to talk about just with like CPG companies. How are they going to utilize AI to lower their cost of goods? How are they going to manufacture better?
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge question mark right now in our business is how's it going to affect the print industry, right?
yeah,
We make physical products, so there's certain things that are going to be like the last frontier affected by AI, but there's a lot of like how's it going to affect customer service? How's it going to affect like ERP programming, and stuff like that? How are we going to be able to do better because of it? So,
Yeah.
I'd imagine that a lot of CPG listeners are probably wondering those same things. And yeah.
Yeah. I think we've seen some of it. Like we had Mike Nunn on, which seems like a long time ago, but
Okay.
he was
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Mike.
talking about just, like an order entry module, right? And you kind of go, that actually makes sense to me, right? It's a repetitive job. Truthfully, even the people in those jobs probably don't really like that job a lot. And it's not, it's something repetitive that, and is quite definitive, right? That AI
Mm,
could take
hmm.
over and kind of clean up, right? So those things make sense to me. I actually used it in video editing yesterday, right? Like from
Wow. Okay.
from a sound perspective, like Kenny, I'm laughing because there are a couple of recordings that I want to go back and try this on now, that aren't as good as we wanted them to be, but the AI was able to go through and match kind of the background noise and then kind of wipe it out, right?
Oh,
To,
cool.
to make it usable footage, right? Like, so things
Yeah.
like that, I think you could get a sound engineer, and if you're a sound engineer, don't be mad, but that is something that you would do, but that's a serious art that uh, me and my editing skills will never replicate ever, right? And for a
Right.
podcast episode, am I paying a couple of $100 for a sound engineer to do that? Probably not, right? A couple of $1,000, whatever, right? But I'm not going to do it, right? So there are moments there that I can see it replacing, but I don't see it doing this. Like I think if you want
That's
amazing
back to task though,
packaging, if
Phil,
you
right? That's what
want,
you're saying.
yeah,
That's like,
repetitive,
that's tasks
difficult
that nobody
tasks,
wants to
that
do.
nobody wants to do,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But if you think
yeah,
about how many things that we've all seen, videos we've seen, pictures we've seen, text that we've seen, and the first thing we probably all do, and maybe because it's all news, you think AI, 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 and it right away puts you into a negative connotation. Because when you lose the human aspect of it, there's still feelings with the packaging, no matter what. As 3D and tactile it is, it's very emotional. There is
Hmm.
another part to this. Like we
Mm.
buy on emotion. Like you hit shelves, a color traders, a font traders, a foil
the
traders, a
the
box
feel,
traders.
the
I
feel
don't
of the
give a shit.
box when you pick it
You
up, right?
can't
Like
stop
that,
me from
all
being
of that.
human.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. I'm
yeah,
still going to touch things. I still want to
yeah,
see things.
yeah,
Right. So no matter what, I'm not going to digitally eat. I'm not going to
Yeah.
digitally, some things are still going to be what they are. It's like I don't think it replaces it. I think it replaces probably a lot of mundane, which is sad because there are people that maybe have skill sets that don't lend to, like I can't build a rocket and go to the moon. I mean, so if we're all going
Yeah.
to have to go into rocket science, I'm in trouble.
Well,
But there's
it's
other
funny.
aspects you can do, right? Well,
It's
actually, if
funny.
I have to go to rocket science, we're all in trouble.
Yeah. To your last point, it's interesting right now. I don't know the absolute latest unemployment numbers, but last I checked, it was like high 17% for youth unemployment direct out of university, which
Yeah.
is like record levels. I think the highest since, don't quote me on this, but it's either 2008 or early 2000s or something like that. Like it's a
yeah,
massive, it's
Yeah.
20 or 20
Yeah.
plus years that it's been,
Yeah.
at this level. And, you got to think AI is contributing a lot to that because there's a lot of people that went to school for computer science and these different things where, a Claude AI is like, able to do what would take them a week in like
yeah,
10 seconds,
yeah,
and it's just wild, right? So we are, it's interesting because we are seeing a lot more people, young people, interested in getting into the printing trade, which, is really interesting. And I would say during COVID, it was insane trying to find people, right? It was like I use the term the glass test, basically. Like you during COVID, you would take a piece of glass, put it up under their nose, and if it fogged, you would hire them. Like it was just like
my God,
you're here, you showed up for your interview. When can you
you're
start,
hired,
basically?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was like, what a crazy time to be a business owner. And then it's flipped the exact opposite direction, where during that time we couldn't find operators to train to save our lives. And now, we've got, just the other day we hired somebody who had just, had left high school and is looking for a trade and would be a perfect candidate to be an electrician or a plumber or a carpenter. and he's joined our organization to learn the printing trade. How cool is that? Like
Yeah.
that is
That's really cool,
unbelievable.
though.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
And young people are out there and they want to learn. And so I would say for new business owners, CPG brands, especially people who are doing their own manufacturing, it's the labor world is a little bit different. It is a lot different than it was a few years ago. And you're able to find people that can be those operators, those machine operators, dedicated machine operators. And I think a lot of it has to do with AI, to be honest, and people kind of evaluating what's a protected industry and what isn't. And we've literally had people during our interviews bring that up and say, I printing, I don't think is going to be affected by AI. So, that's why I applied for this role. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Wow. Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah,
I'm happy. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
If anybody has any questions, even print specific questions, like not you might use me, use Glenmore, you might not use Glenmore. It's not something where we're just trying to sell to you. Like if somebody has a print specific question, like happy to chat with them, happy to, provide my advice, especially as business owner. Like if anybody's a business owner, entrepreneur, anything like that, and they're struggling, like Kenny, you got my contact information, give it to them and tell them to call me. And if they've got questions, like nothing fires me up more. Like that is my purpose when I wake up in the morning. If I have an opportunity to help an entrepreneur, that's like working hard and chewing glass to make money. Like, let's talk. I'll go for coffee with you and I'll give you the time because I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is.
That's what we do as well. That's us.
We love it. We love it. We love it.
If you really think about it.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing we want to teach people is if the best advice you could give an entrepreneur is don't be alone.
Yeah.
Find groups.
Oh my gosh.
If it's EO, find BC Food and Bev, find CHFA, join groups, talk to people. You don't there's not one problem you're going to have that someone else hasn't had. Literally, you're not going to invent a new issue.
100%.
Someone's done it. So talk to people. Talk.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of the things that I went through. Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's like a support group, but for certain things, especially as a business owner, and as your business grows, I'm a single owner of the business. I have no partners, right? So it's 100% me. I live and die on my own decisions. Right. So it's hard for me to kind of have those eye-to-eye conversations with certain people. And sometimes you might have partners, sometimes you might have investors. It's different dynamics. But there's certain things where I struggled and suffered in silence from a business owner standpoint that I just, I thought kind of tilting my head downward and ramming into the wall harder would make it easier. And it didn't.
It just hurts more.
And it just hurts more. And, like I've got so many different tips and tools and we can talk forever on it, but it's like, there's like a few key moments in my business career that, was like one of the things that stands out more than anything else was like when I stopped trying to convince people to work for me. That's when things totally changed, right? That I told them like it was. Like, this is a hardworking organization. We're different. Read our vision. Now I read everybody our vision when we have an interview with them, and I try to scare them away. And I'm like, I don't ever want to go into an interview thinking I got to hire this person because that's not the case. You really have to think. It's like I heard a quote the other day. It's like feeding cattle. Cattle need to get fed on Sundays. They need to get fed on Christmas Day. And printing industry is the same thing. We're running the presses. We're running 24 hours a day. So if you're not able to take a call at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, maybe this isn't the right industry. Maybe it's not the right business for you. Maybe it's not the right business for you. And it's something where we slowly over time, we brought in more and more individuals that really buy into that organization mindset. And if you read the book Good to Great, I'm sure either one of you have read that. Yeah. And one of the key factors is the flywheel, right? Is the more people you can get pushing on that flywheel, and really how you can get buy-in and create an accountability structure that gets people pushing in that direction is like so vital for lift and scalability. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck on the ground and you're just going to struggle, and you're going to,
Yeah.
it's going to affect your life, affect your marriage, affect so many things in your life, or it can be life for those parts of your life, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
It does.
Yeah. That's
Sorry
why
for
we like
ranting there.
changing for
I'm
the
just
positive. It doesn't
ranting.
always like,
I'm
people.
getting
We
into it
love it.
now.
No,
We
Yeah,
love it.
sorry.
no,
No, not at all.
that's
It was great.
awesome. That's awesome. That's another podcast. We could do a podcast on all this type of stuff
Yeah,
too. So now we've
yeah,
got the Glenmore podcast done. Okay, that's over with.
yeah,
That's cool. So we got people going there. Now we need to have the other part of the discussion, because I do think this is
yeah,
important. Phil and I, this is why we do it. I mean, we've been in this for so long, like you, is sort of the give back time. Like you're trying to
yeah,
help people. I'd rather stop you from doing something so that you're not unsuccessful and put you into something successful. I'd like everybody to win if we can. I mean, you're gonna have to
yeah,
take your hits in life. Not everything's a win. You lose sometimes, that's life. But I'd
yeah,
like to at least stack the odds in favor of a win,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
If you lose, you
yeah.
lose. I mean, shit happens. I
You know
mean, we
what
can't.
we should
Nothing
do
in
Yeah.
life.
is what we've started doing a little bit at a time and a little bit more is anytime that he and I are in the same city together,
Mhm.
we'll try and grab a dinner with somebody, and then we can kind of like nosh and
We
talk
just
at the same
record a
time.
dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll throw a little mic on you, and then we'll have some dinner, and then talk
All
through,
right.
because I
Yeah.
think these things are
Plus, we both like to eat.
um, yeah, we love to
Yeah.
eat. We really
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, Phil's
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not somebody that does podcasts hardly ever. So, I can say I really enjoyed my time with you guys, and
Thanks, man.
it's fun. Yeah. And I avoid doing the industry, kind of the printing industry ones or whatever. And, it's really fun to be able to have a connection point to, I think, the people that I'm most passionate about, which are the small business owners, right? And the people that are,
Right.
and not just our customers. I'm talking like the people that are out there. So it's thanks for the privilege of, being able to be here and chat with you guys.
Thanks for
And,
saying yes.
Yeah. Thanks for
yeah,
saying yes.
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
absolutely. Well, we
No,
can do it again sometime in the
kidding me? This is
future.
like for
And
us, it's awesome.
Yeah. Next one will
yeah,
be in person. It'll be amazing.
yeah, right on.
Oh, love
Cool.
it.
Well, you have to
Well, I've
come
got
by
odds
and
of seeing you
you'll
at a
have a
BC Food
tour.
and Bev something sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I'll be at the
careful what you
Rise.
say. You may get stuck with us.
Well, you can come by and have a tour. I'm sure I'll see you at the Rise Awards. Well, we'll be there, seeing a lot of good people that are probably listening
Yeah.
as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, if there's anything else, or we pretty solid. We're
No,
almost
we're
right
we're
on
good
1 hour.
here.
That's
We're
awesome,
good.
buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Thank
No,
you.
that's
right
Thank you
on.
so
that's
much.
perfect
Yeah.
timing. That worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
very
hey, you know
cool.
what? I got a jet because I got to get
I got a bolt
upstairs
to work
and
too.
Yeah.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I really appreciate it,
Thanks.
guys. Thanks so much, and
No
have a good
worries.
rest of your
Buddy,
day. All
it was
All
right.
right.
awesome.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got it. Okay, ciao. Okay,
Take
bye.
care,
Bye.
bud.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.
Cool. Very cool. He's a
Really
cool.
nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Really nice
I
guy.
think a critical conversation.